Hello and welcome to another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Jamie Johnson, the legal and government correspondent, and today we have three guests. Normally we're used to one or two, but we have three guests associated with the Highway 35 project that's going on in Hudson and North Hudson. And I want to introduce our guests. First, we have the Northwest Region Communications Manager for the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, Christina O'Brien. Christina, welcome to the show.
Well, strange for me. I come from the newspaper world.
Okay, no worries there. And we know that there'll be a little bit of delay because we're not live in the studio, but that's okay. And then our other two guests are project leaders and managers. One is Andrew Huntley. He's the consultant project leader who is most on site. And then Stacy Lambell, who's the DOT project manager, offices out of Eau Claire, and also is on site for their weekly meetings. I guess you do those on Mondays, is that right, Stacy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Very good. Well, first of all, who wants to take the very first question is, what is the Highway 35 project? Because we'll have folks that are watching this that don't necessarily live right along or on an artery connected to Highway 35 in either Hudson or North Hudson. But for folks living here, they know all about it already. But why don't you just tell us what the project is and how we got here?
Lucy, you want to take that one?
I'll take the first part. So the project, it runs from Front Street, which is just off the interstate on Highway 35 in Hudson, and it runs all the way through Hudson into North Hudson and basically through the business district of North Hudson. And the project is it's a pavement rehabilitation. It's a ADA upgrade for curb ramps. It's replacing sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water lines, lighting, what else have I forgotten, Andrew?
Pavement replacement from Vine Street all the way to the Lake Malibu Bridge, and then from the Lake Malibu Bridge in North Hudson all the way up to Summer Street is a total reconstruct.
So basically from Vine Street to Summer Street, from Vine Street in Hudson to Summer Street in North Hudson.
Correct. From Vine Street to the south through downtown Hudson, it's more of a rehabilitation project where, like Stacy stated, we're improving various elements of the corridor. And then eventually that section will get an overlay from Cooley and Buckeye up to Vine Street, an asphalt overlay.
All right. And so, like I said, some of us have much closer proximity to this project. I happen to office in the office building right where the project starts at the very south, and traffic is down to like half a lane in each direction. You have to be very careful and not to deviate from your lane, but that happens to be where the water treatment facility plant is, and they're doing a major upgrade, I understand.
That is correct.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
I want to, to let our viewers know, give us a little bit of the background on how this project came about. Who determines that it's necessary, and how does it get determined from the DOT's end as to when workers are actually out there with the yellow jackets on and the stop and slow signs?
A project doesn't appear in just a short period of time. It actually takes years. We have what's called the 6-year improvement program. So they identify projects years out, and then once it gets into the program, it means that it's going to happen within the next 6 years usually. Sometimes if extra money becomes available, work can get moved up. Sometimes if there's an issue with a project that hasn't been resolved, it can get pushed back. Everything that we do depends on the amount of funding that the governor and the legislature actually includes in the state biennial budget. So they're going through the budget process now, which will let us know for the next couple of years how much money we'll have to spend on transportation. Expansion of high cost projects like the St. Croix Crossing that many of your folks there will remember since it was so close. Those types of projects need to be recommended by the Transportation Projects Commission and then included in the state budget before design and construction can happen. This project wasn't one of those. Again, it's been in the planning for, it's been on the books for at least 6 years. Certainly before that, they've started taking a look at that. In terms of identifying projects that should happen, there's a variety of things that we look at, traffic crash reports and safety data, pavement and bridge conditions, traffic volume reports, traffic trends, forecasts for future demands on the system. So a lot of different things come into play. Also, what are we hearing from communities? A lot of our projects, there's a lot of public involvement that happens as the project proceeds through the whole design process up to construction. We're asking the public, what issues do you have? What kinds of things do you want to see in place? Sometimes we're able to accommodate those, sometimes we're not. I know actually one of our last in-person public involvement meetings was in Hudson for this project before the world kind of shut down with COVID. And then speaking of COVID, normally, before an urban reconstruction project like this, we'd like to have a meeting with the public to let them know what's going on. This year, we had to get a little bit creative because of COVID. We did a virtual meeting to try to let folks know what was going on. And then we also did an in-person meeting down at the park along the river. It was actually quite cold, but thankfully a number of people came just to ask questions and find out what was going on.
Okay, very good. So that was a lot of facts packed in there, but thank you for that insight on how a project gets designed and selected. So basically, a smaller project, and this is considered smaller, it's nowhere near the size of the St. Croix River crossing, but it will actually get designed before the dollars are approved to actually start the project.
Yes.
But then once it's shovel ready, I'm sure there's other shovel-ready projects, and then you look at how much is in the budget, and you get to say projects 1 through 6 make it, and 7 you're on standby. If there's enough leftover money, we can get you in. Otherwise, it's kind of budget determinative as far as what gets passed in one biennium budget.
We always have kind of an idea when a project is going to happen. It's right now because of, they're talking about federal stimulus money. Potentially, there are projects that are farther along that if, additional money becomes available because of something like that or some other reason that, yep, we can, swap this one in here right now. Since I started with DOT in the summer of 2019, I've seen a few projects where we've held off for a year just for, whatever reason, materials weren't available or, some other reason. But yeah, projects can move, within that 6-year window. Typically as we go from year 6 to year 1, and I'm talking with year 1 being actually construction, usually within those like 6, 5, and 4, those years aren't as set in stone as we get closer to the actual, first, second, third year. Those projects don't move as much.
Okay. Very good. Now, just overall, you mentioned budget and money. So if we took from the very south end of the project all the way to the north and everything associated with it, all the improvements that were mentioned previously, how much of that is funded by state tax dollars and how much are local tax dollars, approximately, if you know?
That's one that I don't know. Do you know, Stacy?
I do have the codes. I don't have them in front of me. You don't.
Okay.
Have them
I'm sorry. I surprised you with that one. I didn't get you that question in advance. But if you run across it while we're doing it, just pipe in. But basically,
Sure.
this project, the purpose of the project is to do this refurbishment that needs to be done on a periodic basis, and it was just time for this area, not to mention the infrastructure under the concrete, like the water and the sewer lines, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when was it scheduled to start, and when did it start?
I believe the start date was April 26th. Right,
Okay.
Andrew?
Yep,
Yeah.
it was scheduled to start on the 26th, and then we started on the 26th. Technically, the start date was the 27th. 26th is a lot of preliminary stuff, getting traffic control installed, and stuff like that.
Okay. And so, Andrew, when is it scheduled to end?
We have a completion date of November 30th of this year.
Okay. And given that we're 5 weeks in, how are we looking for finishing it on time, ahead of schedule, or are we behind schedule?
According to the latest schedule submitted by the prime contractor, we still look like we're going to finish on time in front of the 11:30 deadline. That being said, we came across complications already as why we got weather. It rains here in Wisconsin. We had a couple days regarding that, and then some unforeseen circumstances underneath the road when you're replacing utilities that we run into, all the old stuff.
Have you run into any of the wooden water pipes yet?
No wooden water pipes. We did find the old State Highway 35. That was about 7 to 8 feet under the current State Highway 35. So that was pretty interesting.
Great. And was that was found in somewhere in Hudson?
Yes, right down by the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. Very good. So what has been completed so far?
So breaking it up in segments from Front Street to Vine, or the downtown area, how you can break it down even more, from Vine or from Front Street to Buckeye or Cooley. At the wastewater treatment plant, we replaced a sanitary sewer line running along the east side of the road. And then that went from Front Street all the way up to there's a building right there, right by Lulu's there. We replaced that entire section. We're getting that ready to grade and repave. That's where you see the barrier wall, where we'll have 2 brand new concrete driving lanes behind that wall. When it's all done, from Cooley up to Vine Street on the west side of the road, we are currently improving ADA requirements. Like Stacy mentioned, this includes the intersections, driveways, so it becomes ADA accessible. And then north of Vine Street, and we have it broken out by segments. This in segment 2 from Myrtle up to Division. We have the road torn out, and we are replacing all the underground water and sanitary lines along with storm sewer. And then that goes for the same up in segment 4, which is from Monroe Street up to Michelson.
In North Hudson?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't know if you folks are familiar with the work that was done by a group that wanted to get some good PR out that North Hudson is still open and so forth. Now, we had them on as guests to talk about what they were planning and to get, community information out there about the project. And now the name of it is escaping me. I'm sorry. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I believe it's Survive Highway 35, something along those lines.
Yes, that's it. That's right. And have they been working with you, Christina, quite a bit?
Yes. WISDOT has a program called In This Together. The purpose of the program is to let folks know that we recognize that construction is disruptive. It's kind of one of those necessary evils that we all have to live with. And it's essentially, we try to guide business folks through the whole process. This is what's going to happen. Here's things that you can do to let folks know that your business is still open. There's guidelines in there for signage. In this case, for example, I know right early on we were working with Mary Claire from the Chamber of Commerce to actually get signage up along the project to let folks know that businesses downtown were open. I haven't seen what they've done up on the north side. Andrew, you may have seen some things that they've been doing, but no, they had reached out to us. This guide also shares what other communities have done, again, just to let folks know that business is still open. A lot of times they get together and have specials. They'll come together and do joint advertisements and such.
Okay. And so how far into it would you estimate that we are? And that's either Andrew or Stacy can handle that one. I know that we're 5 weeks into a schedule, but as far as a percentage of the visible work being done, are we 10%?
Yeah, I would, Stacy, don't you think somewhere around that 10 or 20%?
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I don't exactly remember when the asphalt paving is scheduled for. When is that scheduled for?
Early
Tentative.
August.
Okay. I feel like though we're gonna finish up one side of Hudson and we'll swap over to the other side, and then it'll be good to see something get done here soon, and we keep having the good weather, we'll just be able to get it done a lot quicker. Than it's gonna be a long haul, but
I assume that some rainstorms are scheduled in there factored into the schedule, right?
Yes.
They are. We do have some days scheduled for inclement weather, but it's good if we don't have it, because it just seems to slow up. Even if it's one day, just to gear up and get going again, kind of messes with your progress.
Andrew, you mentioned that there is a prime contractor for the project, and that would be what company is the lead?
Concrete Services.
What is that?
Chippewa Concrete Services.
Okay, Chippewa Concrete Services. And then under them, I imagine that there's quite a few subs. Is that right?
Yes, more than a dozen.
More than a dozen, okay. And some have been on site, and some have yet to even start their work, I imagine.
Correct.
Okay. So what impact, if any, has COVID-19 had on the schedule and the budget? Because we know that obviously we've been living with COVID since roughly March of 2020, and this project didn't start till April 26th. Did it delay the start of the project at all? And has there been any problems with supply chains or anything like that?
Andrew, you want to take that one?
Definitely.
From the construction side of it, we have seen delays in supply chains. That is the fighting issue right now with suppliers. No different than if you go order a couch, it's taken up to 7 months to get back. Much longer than usual. So there are certain items that we are waiting on, and hopefully the time flip on those, or hopefully we get those rather soon so we could actually finish the sucker.
Okay, great. What are some of the biggest challenges of the project so far?
I would say, obviously everyone knows the amount of foot traffic downtown Hudson gets during the summer, especially in the warmer weather. We're trying to build this and accommodate to all the pedestrians, all the business owners, to keep everyone happy. That would be the biggest thing right now. As you'll see in the slideshow coming up, the stuff that we install to make sure pedestrians stay safe as they're traveling throughout the project.
Okay, so what changes do you make as you go to meet some of those challenges?
Per some of our DOT specifications, we have to allow pedestrian traffic up and down the road at all times. So in a normal project with less pedestrian traffic, we could maybe shut down the entire road at once, both sidewalks, where here we're doing one at a time. Like in downtown, we're on the west side right now. Once we complete the west side, we'll flip put pedestrians on the west side and then start removing all the concrete on the east side.
Okay. Yeah, maybe right now is a good chance to, if you can share your screen and show us some of the slides that, photos that you've taken.
Sure can. Is it working?
Yes.
You're up.
Oh, ready. I don't know what slide I'm on.
See, this one looks like, well, that one looked like downtown. Oh, there definitely, that is.
This should be, are you seeing Cooley and Buckeye?
Right.
Yes.
So-
Okay.
And at Cooley and Buckeye, we have a safety project going where we're offsetting the lanes for better visibility and extending the right turn lane onto, what is it, Cooley?
It would be the left turn lane on the Buckeye.
Okay, so just orientate me here. Do we see the Dairy Queen in there?
Yep. So the way we are looking east right now. So going up the hill, that would be Cooley Street.
Okay.
And then coming to the left, you're going northbound on 35. Downtown would be to your left. So for example, here we are, the orange fencing, that's our pedestrian fence to keep people safe when walking around construction, in between construction and traffic. And then you'll see right behind that fence is our new concrete, and then some that we still have to do, and that is all ADA conformant, where the existing stuff or the old stuff was not. That's one part of this project.
Okay. What else have you got for us?
So here's the wastewater treatment plant, a little further to the south, right north of Front Street. A few weeks ago, you'd have seen a big giant hole here. We replaced a sanitary sewer line that was about 15 to 20 feet down in various areas. So that is all built, and now we're up to gravel, getting ready to pave here in the next few weeks.
So I have to stop you there because this is of most interest to me because I happen to go there every day and I work just on the right side there, that building, that office building that's along the river. And you've got, we see the equipment with the gravel, working on the gravel base, but there's actually 2 lanes of traffic there, both north and south, that are getting through there and have for the last 5 weeks or so. How much longer are we going to be down to 1 lane in each direction like that, with some traffic being backed up all the way to the interstate?
Yep, it will be this configuration. The contractor is estimating about 2 or 3 more weeks. Once we get the new concrete poured, we'll switch configuration, and that's when we work on the rest of the 2 lanes that you see that traffic's currently on. We have base patching to make that road. We take out the joints to make that road smoother, a better ride for everyone. So we mess around with those configurations a little bit, but that also takes traffic down to bidirectional.
And so will that new side be wider than what's currently there for?
Nope, that's staying the same. As we get closer to Cooley, we do extend that right turn lane further south. So that can take more vehicles.
Okay. But then, so we're looking at, once the one side's done, the other side's going to take as long as the original side, or slightly less because you have less?
Much less, yep.
Okay, good.
Yep, it's a quite quick process with work scheduled for the other 2 lanes.
Because you're not putting the similar sewer lines in that were put in on the other side?
Correct.
Okay. What's next?
Next is just a photo of, this is in segment 2. This would be looking at the section between Myrtle and, Myrtle and Division. And it's just showing our reconstruct area here. All the pavement is removed, and we're just getting ready to install mainline sanitary sewer, and the water lines along with the storm sewer. Also, along with this project, is we replaced the lateral lines, the service lines that go into the houses. So you can see that that's all of our storm sewer pipe sitting there ready to be installed.
Okay.
Hopping back down, this is the Smiling Moose right here. One of two intersections that got what we call the bump outs. You'll see this, it's a wider curb and gutter area. It actually cuts into the parking lane a little bit and takes away the corner of the intersection. So it reduces people trying to go to the right side of vehicles to pass them. It's a safety enhancement. And then also too, it shrinks the crosswalk area for pedestrians. So it's safer for pedestrians to cross. And as in the picture here, you see this is our prime contractor actually pouring the brand new curb and gutter.
Okay.
For drainage. Here's another picture. This is up in segment 4, up in the village of North Hudson. Same thing, just our dirt contractor, our excavation contractor, prepping stuff, removing all the existing corridor, and getting ready to install all the underground stuff. This next picture is also in segment 4, just kind of an overview of all the stuff going on.
Even though this drone photo.
Correct. Yep. Just showing you all the amount of supplies and equipment that goes into this work. Here is our construction schedule. This is the latest revised schedule from the prime contractor. So as you can see there in segment 2, from Myrtle up to Division, that is projected to be, or anticipated to be, finished around that July 13th date. And then up in segment 4 from Monroe up to Michelson, same thing at July 17th, 13th, right in there. And as we've been telling people at our public involvement meetings, these dates are more than likely going to change due to rain, anything we find underground, due to the old utilities and road and whatnot. And also might stay the same.
So due to this schedule, I understand, like for Hudson boosters and booster days, they've opted not to do the parade because we've got significant portion of the parade route that's torn up.
I cannot answer that one. I don't know if that was more city related or not, if that was still a COVID thing or not.
All right. But how about North Hudson? We have Pepperfest in August, and is that anticipated that it'll be enough of the parade route there on Highway 35, or are they just going to avoid Highway 35 and have their parade on other streets?
Nope. It sounds like it's still going to stay on Highway 35. We've been in discussions with the village, and it sounds like their parade route will be in an area that we'll have completed. Okay.
Well, that's good news because I know folks want to know about Booster Days and Pepperfest. That's the summer priorities. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The next few slides just goes over our construction schedule that you have seen on the previous slide and the type of traffic impacts each segment will have. From front to Vine, it's pretty basic. We keep that one open for traffic. We do not close that down, but it may be reduced to one lane in each direction at some points. And then from Vine to Myrtle, your anticipated start and finish dates there, and just like segment 2 and the segments that we are working in, we fully close this segment so we can work at a much quicker pace.
And I don't know if this is a good time to ask it, but I'm going to do it anyway, and then you can fit it in. But so the segment that would be, the bridge itself from between Hudson and North Hudson, where is that considered? Is that segment 3, and will that be closed for some period of time so that no one can access North Hudson from Hudson and vice versa?
So that's technically not a segment. It's got its own little area. As you can see right there, it's anticipated to go from September 7th to November 20th. There will be 7 days. It's not for the bridge work. It's 7 days for each intersection, north and south of the bridge. So I think it's North Road and South Road, I believe. We allow the contractor to shut those intersections down for 7 days to complete some pretty hefty underground utility work in there.
Okay, but that's going to happen after Labor Day.
Correct. That's what's anticipated right now. Like I said, that stuff could change.
All right.
If they start getting these other segments done sooner, which is a good thing, then that gets bumped up.
Understood. But we're talking probably after the start of school.
Yes, correct.
Okay. What else do you have?
So here is just the rest of the other segments and their anticipated start and end dates. Here's our road closure considerations. I mean, we've only started in 2 of the areas so far, and a couple things that have popped up is access is the big one right now. As everyone's finding out, we are tearing this road up. We have some holes that are 10 to 20 feet deep, so we cannot provide access at all the time. We are asking pedestrians, everyone trying to get to their houses, to either park on the side streets or from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. We are putting the road back together as best as possible. That being said, there will be times where we just can't do that because it will slow us down a good amount, where we have to fill the hole in and then we got to dig it back out, which results in a longer time, and everyone wants us done and out of there. Garbage and mail services, we've been working with both the village and the city with that garbage and mail. We've been, especially in the village of North Hudson, they have mailboxes. We've been moving them around and putting them on side streets so then the mail carriers can still access them and whatnot. And then the garbage, both the village and the city have worked with their services, and they put out dumpsters to give to the pedestrians that won't have their garbage serviced during the area we are working on. And a couple other considerations with access is rain, obviously, as we found out a couple weeks back, is when we do get a rain, just the nature of the project, we essentially have a bowl that the water cannot escape. So we're asking just to plan ahead when rain events are scheduled and possibly park on those side roads so then you don't get trapped in your driveway. As you can see here in the bottom right, we had about 1 foot or 2 feet of water on the road, which it stayed there until we were able to pump it out of there. And then on the flip side of that too, we know there can be some dust issues. We are watering the road as much as possible to control that dust. So, and then here, the last slide is just our contact information for everyone. I'm the first contact to go to. I can answer all those questions that people have regarding access and when their house would be in the construction area and whatnot.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you providing your contact information. And if folks have questions, obviously they can contact those three. Is there a project, website or a tab on the DOT website that folks can go to?
So there's actually a project page. It's called projects.511wi.gov. If folks go to the Northwest region, they can actually check out there's actually a page for this project. The link is on the Andrew's screen. Hopefully it's still being shared with everyone. But yes, I update that weekly. So it's the best place to actually find up-to-date information.
Okay. Watch for the projects 511wi.gov, right?
Yep.
All right. I'm learning how to read backwards here because the way that the image comes up. But so what do you ask of the public at this stage? I mean, you're 2 months into it, in the second month here, and you've mentioned about the traffic. So foot traffic's only going to get more condensed once we have this 90-degree weather and folks want to be outside and so forth. So what are you asking of the public?
Good question. We want to get this done as soon as possible. We know it's a inconvenience for everyone, so we're trying to get it done as soon as possible. But that being said, it still takes a lot of time, and it might not look like there's a lot of stuff going on, but there probably is. And that's about it. I keep doing your summer activities, and hopefully everyone will stay safe too.
All right, so understanding, patience, using a little wisdom when it comes around the barricades. Don't try to cut corners.
Yep,
Or
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of fresh concrete out there that could ruin your day if you step in it.
Yep. What happens if they do? I mean, can people be responsible for that?
We actually had it happen a few times last week, and we just catch it, we fix it. Usually we're off in a different area pouring another section of concrete.
Okay. And it's amazing. People will be looking down at their phones, not paying attention where they're walking, and they can find themselves in places they don't belong, I guess.
It's not just limited to people. There's a few animals that end up in our concrete on projects throughout, the region over the years. So
I bet. So we've got an idea of how this is doing on the schedule. Any idea, like budget? Do you know what this project was going to cost all in, and whether it's appearing that that's a good estimate? Or
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, but I thought it was $13 million roughly, right in there. And budget wise, it's probably too early to tell. We're still messing with stuff. We're still changing stuff for cost savings, and then other stuff that we're not seeing.
I'm somewhat familiar with construction schedules and change orders, serving on our school board, and we did about $85 million renovation addition to our high school, and I know about how things can get behind schedule, and we had hundreds and hundreds of change orders. In a project like this, are more of the change orders to the good or to the bad, or do they end up evening out at the end? You're kind of back to where you were with the original number.
You'll see both. For example, we already had a change order for a different electrical wiring technique or operation, which saved the DOT money. But then there's, on the flip side too, when you start digging, you don't know what's going to be underground, and you could run into, say, old State Highway 35, where you need to remove that to continue to install the sanitary sewer line. So there's stuff like that. You'll see it both ways. We're always working with the contractor too to look ahead and see if there's any cost savings coming up. Maybe we can build something better, quicker. Maybe we're just seeing something different than what was seen in design.
Now, I know you said this earlier, but I want to be able to repeat it as I tell people about this segment. That old Highway 35, how far down was it, and how does it end up that far below the current highway?
It was roughly 6 to 8 feet down, and I'm guessing whenever that was put in, probably way before I was born. I'm guessing that's just how the old road was. It was probably 2 lanes at that elevation. And then once they started having issues with water, because it was pretty close to the St. Croix River water elevation, that's when they started building it up. And that's where you could see down in that area, the dentist, the wastewater treatment plant, a lot of those buildings are in a lower elevation compared to State Highway 35 now. Right,
yeah. So, great news. Anything else that we should be letting the public know at this point? I really appreciate the slide, and I think, if people have questions, they know where to go to get answers. But again, when you can say that you're going to be done by a certain date and come close to that, that goes a long way, I think, in keeping people happy. So phasing the project out helps people get through a 7-month project, I think.
Yep. And just to add one comment, every time we are switching to a new area, we are having public involvement meetings, and working with the contractor, we will get letters out. Working with Dean Chamberlain, the city engineer, we get letters out to the public notifying when those meetings will be, and then for what areas we'll be working in, just in case they have more questions to ask.
All right. And Christina, can you tell us, like, once this project's done, when's the next Hudson area project going to happen?
We actually have another project in Hudson this year. We're going to be doing a little bit of work on Hanley Road, resurfacing a section of Hanley Road over by 35 to the south of the interstate. Oh. And then next year, we also have a rehabilitation project on the Carmichael Bridge.
Okay.
So we'll be back. You guys won't forget us soon.
All right. And those are probably needed projects as well. One that comes to a lot of people's mind is the, exit onto Carmichael and that whole area. People are talking about 2025. Do you have any insights on that, whether it might be longer than that?
Whether like a replacement for that?
Yes. I mean, I just know that there's upgrades that are needed just because of the traffic levels, as you had said before, safety concerns and traffic levels.
Currently, there's nothing scheduled there in terms of a major rehabilitation project replacement of the interchange. The interchange itself was put in back in the early 90s. An interchange, at times can be around, last 60, 70 years. So right now, the interchange itself, there are no issues with the interstate traffic below. We know that there are some things going on above. So our folks have been talking with the city folks, and those discussions continue. But right now, nothing's programmed. The project that we have next year is a rehabilitation project. We build roads and bridges, and it's kind of like your car. You can buy a new car, but if you don't change the oil in it, eventually, you may be dealing with some big problems. And so this project next year is some maintenance work that needs to happen on the bridge itself.
Okay, on the bridge itself. And when you say above and below, you're referring to south and north of the bridge?
Yes.
Right. And that's why you said above. That would be on the north part of that. There's further discussions to be had, but nothing scheduled.
Right.
All right, very good. Well, thanks for that update. I appreciate that. And thank you all for coming on the show. I hope to have you on in about 4 or 5 months when you can tell us that it's all going to get done about 6 weeks early.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, very good. Thank you, and it was nice meeting all of you. And I want to thank our viewers for watching another segment of Western Wisconsin Journal. Keep watching our show and watch where you're walking and driving when you come around our construction workers. Keep them safe as well.